Well, hello everyone. Because I'm not perfect, I've accidentally deleted the first part of my video, so I had to start over a little bit. Instead of doing this on a rock, I'm going to show you on some thick paper. Basically, if you don't know how to get like a decent looking, you know how one eyebrow is different from the other when you do it, or one eyeliner just, they're sisters. They're not they're not twins, right? You know that saying. So when I do a butterfly, it's usually another sister's thing because my wings do not look the same when I do both wings. So the best way to do that is to trace one half of a butterfly out onto paper, cut it out. I'm using thicker paper, like I said. Flip it over, attach it. Oh, Rachel, your ambidextrous is showing. But yeah, basically, you just flip it over, trace it, and then they will have similar, closer to twins when it comes to your wingage. So that's just a little hint. Someone left that hint in the comments. Just do half butterfly and then cut it out, flip it, and you have very similar wings. They look more like twins. Much easier. Thank you for that tip. So because I deleted part of my video accidentally, I sketched on the same way. I cut it out and sketched it on to my rock, filled it in with black paint, outlined it with gold, and now I'm using Iuilewatercolours to color in my wings. Now you can watch this process. You've seen me use watercolors before. You've seen what I've done with that kind of stuff on top of black paint. I'm just kind of doing a bit of a rainbow on my wings, trying to keep them similar. But once again, sisters, not twins. So the more of the focus, I should say, more of the focus is going to be on the shading and the water droplets. Most importantly, if you're going to do shading, you want to do it on a lighter canvas, okay? So I've picked one of the lightest rocks that I have in my inventory. If you have Santorini stones or lighter colored stones that you know once you seal them, they're not going to darken very much, those are perfect for doing shading on. So for instance, the crab tutorial that I did a couple days ago, you could do one of those and do shading with it once you've seen this one. But you need to do it on a light stone or a light canvas, or you can paint your background. If you have a dark stone but you really want to try this, paint your background in white, a light color, do a couple of coats of a light color, let it dry, and then that can be your background. Just have to work over top of your painted background. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's going to look like the butterfly is lifting off the rock, or he's landing on the rock to get a drink. That's what we're kind of doing, okay? I have done tutorials like this before, floating butterflies, water droplet tutorials that are much older, but I thought I would just kind of refresh us a little bit with a watercolor butterfly instead of, leaving you guys without a tutorial. I'd rather put one up and say hi because I love you guys. My son and I are both kind of suffering with like one of those spring colds where like the weather changes and it's raining a lot, and we both just kind of feel like we have a cold starting, but it's not going anywhere. Luckily, it's not going anywhere, but I think it's the weather. I just wanted to show you a little phone grip that I made the same way with this kind of butterfly, with the watercolor butterfly. So I think it's good. I'm going to make sure it's nice and dry before I start working with shading. Now, what I do with the shading is I water down the black paint. So I want to have just a little bit of acrylic paint, a little bit of the black, and I'm going to add a little bit of fresh water to it. So it's going to have like a transparency. Definitely test it out on like a paper towel. Make sure that it's not make sure it's watered down enough that it's not going to just leave pure black. So keep in mind, this is wet. It's watered down paint. So it's going to go a little bit darker at first. Then it's going to dry and you'll see what it's actually going to look like up against the stone. So I'm using a little blending brush. I have a tutorial for my blending brush in every video that I post. I have resin tutorial, fine lining brush like the one I'm using, and the blending brush like the one I'm using now. Those are my most common asked for tutorials. Like, where'd you get that brush? Or what is it that you're using to blend? It's just a little brush that I chopped up myself, and I've actually used this brush, same brush, for 10 years. I haven't had to replace it. I haven't lost it. It is broken in half, so it's short. But I haven't lost it. And it's my favorite smaller blending brush. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of carefully blending some shading underneath the butterfly so that the sun is like coming towards, or kind of like, yeah, coming towards it from the top. And so you have to kind of imagine what your shading is going to be like. I'm doing his antennae. God, it's Monday, please. But I smudged too much. It made it too thick. So I'm using a Q-tip and some nail polish remover, and I'm smudging that off of there so that I can start fresh. It looks wet right now, so it looks like it's still painted there, but it's going to dry. Don't worry. It'll look good soon. So you can use the blending brush for your shading, but you can also use your fine lining brush to kind of clean everything up, even in the shaded parts. I'm just making sure that I still have a black outline and that my gold is prominent, because I might have blended over top of that gold. So I am going to redo anywhere where I've done shading. I have to redo that gold and the black just to make sure it's nice and solid. But right now I'm using my fine lining brush with that watered down black to kind of get like more definition in the shape of my shadow. So I'm now doing the gold part, making sure everything looks good. You can take a look at pictures on the internet of butterflies landing on rocks or butterflies with shading. Just look it up. Look YouTube videos. You can look up pictures on Pinterest, and just to see where maybe you want to place the shading, because you might not be sure of where to start, but you can follow what I've done here, and work your way to where you're comfortable. So I'm not perfect and I'm not the best, but I'm just here to show you some little tricks, stuff that you can spruce up your paintings with. Really simple, and it looks cool. It's cool. It's like an optical illusion in a way, depending on how good you get at it. But there's a whole lot of blending going on. So you have to like that. And it's good to cut yourself a small blending brush like I've done here. So definitely take a look at my tutorial. So I start with a circle. You can draw your circle on with a pencil if you want, and then do a black outline with paint and a fine lining brush. Then, some people do use acrylic pens as well, acrylic paint pens, to do this kind of stuff, to do smaller areas. It's totally up to you. I wish I was not over on the edge of my screen for so long. I'm sorry for that. But basically, I do, in my water droplets, I start with black up top and white at the bottom, and I blend, and I blend, and I blend, and I blend until it looks the way I want it to look. You might see me go back and fix it again some more. That's just what I do until I feel like I can see a water droplet on my rock. So I always blend, wash off your blending brush, Make sure you're not putting black where the white's supposed to be and putting white where the black's supposed to be, because then you'll have to start all over again. It's always best to blend when the paint is still wet. So don't let it dry in big chunks of dark white in areas. You got to really blend that out right away. So I'm still blending. This first one took me a little while, and then I do another smaller one that didn't take me any time at all. You will become a pro. You can practice on paper as many times as you need to before you go onto your stone. I've done this so many times over the years that I'm comfortable just going straight onto the stone with it, and I'll work with it until I'm happy. I'm not going to stress over it. So don't stress over it. You'll get it. It's not impossible. You will get it. So once you have it the way you want it, you add a little bit of white to make it shine. Although I didn't like the way that white looked, so I go over it again until I'm happy. It's not a big deal. But once again, my smaller droplet that I do next to it is much quicker. It just it made itself. And it took me no time at all. And that's how it goes sometimes. So make sure you do have a small blending brush. It works just like a sponge. When I use sponges on things to blend, it works just like that, except for you can get it into small spaces like water droplets, which is very important. It's also perfect for making jelly flies. I know a few of you want me to do a jelly butterfly because I showed one in one of my tutorials where I was showing you what was at my desk. I had a purple jelly butterfly, and if you're interested in that still, I can do that, but there will be blending just like these water droplets. So, but we use purple or green. So I am still working on that big one. I just keep going back to it, and I'm finally happy with it now. I promise. I'm very happy with it now. So the same thing happens underneath these water droplets, just like the shading with your butterfly. You got to shade under your water droplet a little bit so it looks like it's like raised on your stone. So it looks like a water droplet. So you have to go in with your watered down black and just go underneath. See where I've gone right underneath my water droplets. And that's all you got to do. Make sure your water droplets outlined with a fine line of black, and separate that fine line from the shading. And then it looks like it's actually a water droplet. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. I love hearing your opinions, and I love getting your ideas for new videos. So please put any new videos, anything on your wish list for what you want to see me paint. Throw that down in the comments, and don't forget to hit the like button. And please don't use my tutorials as a drinking game for every time I say Not a good idea. You're not going to make it. And this is a shorter video. You're not going to make it. You will be suffering with a very upset liver if you do drinking games to my tutorials. So I'm pretty happy with this. I like I said, I'm going to separate the wings because, of course, I think most butterflies have 4. I might be wrong, but this guy definitely has 4. So I'm just going in with my gold, and then I'm going to separate it with black, separate the wings with black. You can also do some shading along that line of black that you just put in there. Just a little bit of shading. Use the same blending brush and that watered down. Well, don't water it down too much, because that might move around your watercolors depending on what you've done with your wings. But I just put a black line to separate it. That's all I did. This lighting is horrible. You cannot possibly see how beautiful these colors are under this light. I really wish I had a better setup for you, but hopefully I can get some of the color in the final portion of this video once it's been sealed with resin. We're also going to see, again, the rock is going to get a little bit darker. It's going to look like it's underwater, how it naturally looks under Lake Superior, which I love. But I'm still going to be able to see that shading and the water droplets. It's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to resin this and show you two things I have at my desk, which is just phone grips, but I love these little flakes that I've cut up and glued to my phone grip. They change colors so much and they're so sparkly. I did the same thing inside this butterfly. Same stuff that I cut up. And look at how shiny that is. And it changes color like crazy. Like crazy. Look at it changes from like blue to purple to like bright yellow, green. Like you can see pretty much every color of the rainbow in that. It's beautiful. Well, here it is. The rock is different. Some color has come out. It's a gorgeous stone. Still looks like that butterfly is about to take off or just landed so he can get a big drink off that weird looking water droplet. I love you guys. I am working on more. I will be back very, very soon. I hope that I've kept you busy over the last week with the couple of tutorials that I've posted. Keep painting, as always. Put your ideas in the comments. Hit the like button. Make sure you're still subscribed. And I will see you very soon. Bye.